Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Spoiler TV podcast. I'm here today with Jessica, and
Hello.
we are doing a special episode of the podcast today. We are focusing on Love is Blind on Netflix. Season 8 dropped on, was it Thursday or Friday? I think it was Friday.
14th, so Friday, yeah.
14th, Friday, right on Valentine's Day. Perfect timing for season 8 to drop. Takes place in Minneapolis this year. And so we're going to dish on all things Love is Blind this episode. We hope that you will join us in the comment section. Let us know who your faves are, who your not so faves are, and we will get back to you in the next pod. So, Jess, how you doing today?
Good. I mean, I've been binging Love is Blind, so I haven't watched any other shows. It's so hard to watch shows now that I'm a mom. It's like every day it's like, oh, I'm watching Toy Story, I'm watching Coco. So like when I get a chance to watch something, I'm like, I just binge as much as I can. But so I've been just like focusing on Love is Blind. But it's been a good week. We've
Yeah.
had lots of sunshine, so most of the snow is melted, but now we're having lots of rain. So
Oh, well, we've been minus 27 plus wind chill on top of that. It's almost
yeah,
minus
I
30,
don't miss
like
that.
for like a week and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, I do not miss that at all.
No, no, not gonna break till Friday. So we're not loving it here right now. Let's put it that way.
You guys need spring.
Big time. Oh my goodness. So how many episodes dropped? Five?
Six.
Six. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we get three on the 21st.
Okay.
So, yeah. So the sixth episode, so basically at this point, we know who has broken up before the Mexico trip or wherever they're going this time. I'm not even sure. And then who's going to the Mexico trip.
Okay.
Um, because either everybody now is engaged or they've separated and gone their separate ways. So that's as far as we've gotten in this season.
Sounds good.
So
Okay.
we have some real characters this season, but I do have some like thoughts that maybe people know the answers to and they could tell us in the comments. But we got like an engagement in like the second episode, which is crazy to me because I'm like, I know the pods are only like 2 weeks, I think, maybe longer. But
Yeah.
in the second episode, we got this engagement from Joey and Monica, but you'll still see them throughout the season. So what I'm wondering is do they just stay in the women and men's headquarters until everybody goes to Mexico? Or did they really not get engaged until the end? So confusing, right? Because
Or is
like
it editing, right?
right,
Yeah.
because in I think it was episode 6, but it could have been 5.
Okay.
And the girls are coming in saying they're engaged. Monica, I think Monica, sorry, I'm terrible with names. Monica was there the whole time and like hugging them.
Yeah.
And Joey was also like giving advice to some of the guys and like comforting them. So I'm like, but you're engaged. Like, I thought once you get engaged, you have to leave the headquarters. So then that makes me wonder if it's just the way it's edited. I'm not sure.
Okay, so if somebody knows, they
Yeah,
have to let
let
us
us
know.
know down below.
Yes,
I've
because now
seen
we're
lots of
curious.
spoilers and stuff for how this stuff works, but I've actually never seen anything about that. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure. But yeah,
Hmm.
so that will be the first couple we talk about is Joey and Monica.
Okay.
I
So
have never seen, oh yeah,
I read that this was the least interesting storyline. You tell me if that's true or not.
uh, maybe. There's another couple that I'm just like not the hugest. I need more.
Okay.
But Joey and Monica, yeah, same. Probably probably why they are shown in episode 2 because there's not much going on with them. But they are two of them. Like it feels like they're the same person. And once they meet, I'm like, okay, maybe they really are the same person. They like match each other's energy. They're both a little weird and like they might actually work out. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, very least interesting storyline, I'd say. And then the other couple would be second that we'll talk about after. But yeah, they're just, it's so hard to explain. Like, just the second that they met, I'm like, oh, these two are the same people. Like, the way they reacted, the way they were talking, their mannerisms, they're so similar. So I think they might work out. And I will say too, usually the couples with the least interesting storylines are the ones who make it.
I think you said that last
Yeah,
season.
last
I'm sure
season
you
with
did.
Taylor, and I can't remember her man's name.
Yeah.
Terrible, but they're still together, And I was like, they're the most boring couple, but I love them. So yeah, I'm interested to see if we get much more from this couple, or if it'll just be a boring thing and they come to the end and get married, or but usually they don't like to pick the boring ones. So
Hmm.
it'll be interesting. They might have a little bump in the road somewhere. Um, but yeah, she was very surprised to see what he looked like, was not expecting him to have long hair. And it was so sweet. He said he was growing his hair out to 18 inches because he wanted to cut it for children with cancer.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
I'm like, okay, that is so sweet. He said he never really has long hair. He's only been growing out for a year. Usually has short hair, but he decided he wanted to do that. And I'm like, okay, he is really sweet. But yeah, he's just like very excited all the time. And same with her. And it was also great for her because she's tall. Like you can even see in the women headquarters when she's like going to congratulate everybody, like she is much taller than them. So I was happy that he was tall for her because she could still wear
yeah.
some heels.
Could you imagine?
Oh my
There was
gosh.
a guy that's like 5'8", right? And like worried about his height. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we'll get to that couple
Okay.
because she is with heels a little taller. But yeah, I could see how that could be a problem, right? Like a lot of girls want men who are taller than them. And so when they're not, and like, could you imagine if she was the one that ended up with the 5'8" guy? Like, she
Yes.
would have been towering over him. And for some couples that is something that bothers them. But yeah, not much to say about them. It'll be interesting to see where their storyline goes and if we're going to hit any bumps in the road.
Okay.
But yeah, they are going to Mexico or wherever. I don't even know if they all go to Mexico every year,
Hmm. I
but
bet you there's probably a resort that they
it
use.
is a resort somewhere.
Yeah.
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 And then we have Ben and Sarah.
Okay.
And so this is the couple that I want them to work out because until they started talking about difficult stuff, they were really meshing well. They had a lot in common, great conversation. It was like nice to watch them, and they're so cute. Like I'm like okay, and but then she's like, you know what? Because he said, I think I'm falling in love with you, and then
Ooh.
she was like, maybe we need to get to some of the harder hitting questions. And
Uh,
also, I don't know if this is the first. I don't remember them ever talking about politics this much as they have in this season. Um, but she started asking him political questions, and she was not happy about his answers. He very much was like, "Well, I didn't vote in the last election," which let's
ooh.
remember this was filmed a whole year ago.
Okay.
So that would have been the
Kind
Kamala
of Biden
or
one.
Biden and
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even remember who it was.
It's all good.
But yeah,
Still,
so he didn't
if
vote
he,
in that election because I
yeah.
did see a lot of talking on TikTok that people were like, he didn't vote in the Trump and Kamala election. Like that's one of the biggest elections. And let's remember, this was filmed a whole
Yeah,
year
there's
ago.
no way
So
this just filmed in November. Like, come on,
yeah,
people. Use your brain.
so yeah. So and then she asked him about some Black Lives Matter stuff because George Floyd, obviously, all that stuff happened in
Yeah.
Minneapolis. That's where this is filmed. That's where they all live. And he just kind of was like, "Well, I just kind of stay out of it." And for her, she was like, "I feel like we need to speak out about important stuff and not hold back or try to stay out of it because like." I know you, she said to him, like, I know you're not trying to be racist or any of this stuff, but that's what it kind of looks like when you're stepping out and not wanting to talk about it. So as soon as they got into those hard hitting questions, I honestly didn't think this couple was going to get engaged.
That
I was
because that
like
could be a make or break for people.
a million percent, and I don't, there was another couple who did talk about politics and they both kind of agreed. Oh, I do remember who this was, but I don't know names. I think it was Daniel and somebody. But he basically said, I'm okay with however you vote as long as you can respect me and for like the reasons that I vote the way I do. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I like the Republicans for this reason, but I like the, conservatives.
Democrats.
We're liberals. What are we? We're
We're
liberals and
Canadian.
conservatives. Yeah,
Democrats.
Canadians.
Democrats.
I don't really pay attention to American politics, but yeah, so the Democrats, he's like, but they're more aligned with who I am as a person, and so it was nice that conversation and kind of him saying, like we can still love each other, but want different things from our political parties. So that was a different conversation, but that one went much smoother. But yeah, this one really, I was like, that's it. Like she was pretty like I did not like his answers. Like she went back to her girls and told them like that was not
Oh,
not it for me. So Sarah did not like his answers, but they did meet up again several more times and ended up getting engaged.
hey, wait. Wasn't
Mhm.
this the couple where she has a gay sister?
Oh, did I
Ben
miss
and
that?
Sarah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and something like it was important to her that he be accepting of that, and he referred
Did I
to,
miss that whole part?
I don't know, but he like referred to the LGBTQ community as people that are that way, and
Yes,
that
yes, this is the
community.
couple. Yes, okay, yes,
Okay,
thank you. Yeah,
all right.
yes,
I'm
he did
like,
say that.
I
Yeah,
don't think
because
I
she
could have got
said,
past that.
yes, and I remember this now. Sorry, that went right over my head.
Oh,
But
it's all
yeah,
good.
so, and that's maybe this is why she asked these important questions, because if I was with somebody and my sister was a lesbian or my, brother was gay or anybody in the LGBTQ plus community, I couldn't be with somebody who didn't
Absolutely not.
accept them.
Yeah.
Like because that's my family and that comes like I know once you make your own family your family comes second, but if you can't respect my family and the decisions they make and you don't like that, then we can't be together. So yeah,
But I
I'm
guess
she
she
got over that.
trusts that he's going to be okay and accepting, and
And that's the thing about
I
this show,
don't
and
know.
we were talking about this just before. There will never be a season like season one because
Okay.
those people really had no clue what they were getting themselves into.
Right.
It was a real experiment. Now
Right.
everybody knows the show they're coming on to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
They know
pretty
what they're, yeah, like it'll never be the same. So like I'm like, okay, is she just bypassing all these issues so that they can make it to the next part and go to Mexico? Maybe these issues are going to get brought up again when he meets her sister or, just in everyday life. Like,
yep.
so it'll be interesting to see if the issues get brought up again and if she stays with him, if they do get
Right.
brought up again, because his answers aren't going to change. They
But
don't
people
change
don't
that quick.
change that quickly. Yeah. Just
Mm-mm.
doesn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But when they met up, I'm like, oh, they're so cute. Like, oh, they're just so cute. She's like, I really, really like her. Like her energy. She's calm, but she's just herself,
Okay.
She's not scared to be who she is and talk about what she believes in and all that kind of stuff. And so just seeing her be excited because like when she saw him, like, and then even after he proposed to her, she like left the pods and she's like her heart was probably just beating out of her chest. And oh, she's just so cute. I love her. So I really hope that this works out, but also if he is going to be not a good person for her, even just politically, because that stuff is important, right? Then I hope they don't work out. But it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, in this one article where I'm seeing the pictures, I could see this is from TV Line and Claire's final verdict. Sarah needs to stick to her standards and run, girl, run. So, it'll be interesting
I,
to see what happens, but I
yeah.
I don't think these two will make it to the wedding.
I
I
don't know.
think
It's just like,
through
yeah. Like, does she want to spend her life teaching him how to be a good person?
well,
Like,
that's
how to
it.
be
Like,
accepting of others? Like,
yeah, and like nobody's saying he's not accepting, right?
no, 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 no.
But you being like, I'm staying out of it.
It's kind of a red flag to me, but
You know what I mean? Like you're not willing to even talk about it. But maybe he just didn't want to talk about it on camera, right? Because
okay.
a lot of people don't want to talk about their political beliefs for the whole world to see. And
That's
that's
true.
okay.
That's
That's
true.
very fair. But I hope then that they have those deeper conversations when the
Yeah.
cameras aren't on them because I don't believe that the cameras are on them 24/7.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope that they do have those deeper conversations once they are on their own. But yeah, so
That
we'll
was
see
a
what
good
happens.
point.
I don't think this couple will make it.
Okay. Well,
Then we got Dave and Lauren. Oh wow. And hold on, I need to find out who Dave was talking. The other girl Dave was talking to.
Molly?
Was it Molly? Yes,
Molly. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's Molly and Meg, and I keep getting those two confused. So there was Dave and Lauren and Dave and Molly, and they were kind of in a love triangle. And that's the thing. Like the guys, they really don't talk about who they're talking to. They're very secretive.
Hey.
Whereas women, women,
Oh, of
like
course.
they have to gossip. If they're feeling some type of way, they need to talk to their girls. And so eventually they're going to realize who's dating who. And it'll cause some tension, right?
For sure.
And so I think that was what was happening was Dave was talking to Molly and he was also talking to Lauren, but he was saying certain stuff to Molly, and then Molly would come back and say it to the group, not realizing that
Oh,
they were also talking to Lauren, and then Lauren was starting to get super weird about it. And this is also a more controversial guy.
okay.
Um, as he got into the pods, like the first kinds of things he would say is, "So what's wrong with you?" And and
What's
yeah,
wrong with you?
so
You're
he's
here
in
too.
medical aesthetics, like that's his job.
Ah,
And so he says, I very much was the type of man who cared a lot about what I looked like and what people looked like. And I was only really dating for looks. And that's why I'm here, is because I wanted something a little bit different.
okay.
And so, but yeah, so that's how he was kind of starting off his conversations with people. And I'm like, oh,
Brutal.
okay. And then I kind of felt like the two girls who he ends up talking to. And that's the other thing too. We don't actually know how many girls they talk to or when they go down to their final. Like, because I've heard in previous seasons, it's like, oh yeah, this guy was talking to this girl, this girl, this girl, this girl. And it's like, oh well, we only saw him talking to these two. So
Huh.
I'm not sure if he did talk to anybody else, or if anybody else, liked him saying what's wrong with you.
I gotta be honest. I can't even believe you got two girls to talk to them
I
after.
know. And two, like falling in love with him.
I've been like, see ya. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean they did have like some nice conversations as the time
Okay.
went on, but
That's good.
yeah, I'm not sure this
Cringe.
is gonna work. I did feel like
Okay.
the girls were kind of molding to try to be somebody that he wanted them to be, if you know what I'm
Uh,
saying. Like, at one point Lauren, she was a teacher, but teachers don't make enough money. Let's pay our
honestly,
teachers more money. But so she had to move on to a different job because, yeah, like I said, how do you live
yeah.
on a small wage like that? And I
Yeah.
even think in the States they get paid less than we do here.
No, we get paid well in Canada. They get
Yeah.
paid terrible.
Yeah.
In the States, it's really sad. Very
So, and somebody made the comment, like, I believe it was her. She's like, or he said that nurses and um,
teachers.
teachers get paid the most. Nurses and doctors, because
Yeah,
we're literally saving the lives of our people, and teachers because they're molding and like teaching and like two important things in life. Those should be two of the people that get paid more. And so
absolutely.
it was nice to have that conversation too, because I feel like it's not talked about enough.
I
Like,
agree.
and people are always like, yeah, well, they get the summers off. Okay, cool.
We don't
Because,
pay for having the summer off.
well, exactly, you don't get paid. And also your job doesn't end. It's not 8:30 to 3:30.
No,
You're still working after. You're grading papers.
marking,
You're
prepping.
prepping for the next day's lesson. It doesn't end there. So end of the rant there. Teachers get paid for. But yeah, so she just seems like so nice. And then she started saying like, and I don't know if this stuff is true or not, but she started saying, that she does have nudes on her phone and she likes to
Oh,
see and this. And I'm like, okay, she's saying this stuff because she wants him to see her as being a certain girl.
okay.
So that, and even I found Molly was even kind of doing that. And I hope that that's not what they were doing, but that's kind of how it felt.
Okay.
And I feel like that happens a lot in these shows because the guy kind of says that, oh, yeah, I like this, this, and this, and I do this, this, and this. And then you want to get engaged so bad that you're kind of like, okay, I need to be this, this, and this for him, or he's not going to pick me.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if these two will make it. And I don't know if you read about this couple, but something about his sister, because both of and I don't know if I missed this, but both of the girls were like, oh, hopefully we can impress your sister. So I don't think that his
Think she
sister
was against him doing this
going the
whole thing.
show, right? That was
Yeah.
just it. I didn't
Yeah.
know if there was something bigger to it.
Think it
But
was just that. I mean, it could be wrong. Again, correct us in the comments if we're wrong, but
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
Yeah, and sorry, back to the teacher thing too. I could see here that TV line said that he did imply that teachers were ugly and he only dates hot people and had never considered dating a teacher.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And and this is a good one. And he also, when she said she was talking about having children, okay, and she said, I'm 30, and so I'm starting to think about that stuff. And he's like, oh, you're 30. Like, we need to get going then.
Whoa.
Crying that she was old.
How old is he?
Terrible. I don't even, he's 32.
Oh my God. Give
Yeah.
me a break.
And I know he was probably kidding, but like, especially people who have infertility issues, like, this is not something to joke about,
No.
like that she's old and so you need to hurry up so that you can have kids. It's not it, dude.
So
Not
many red
cool.
flags, and
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. So I don't think that these two are going to make it because also in the preview for the next few episodes, him and Molly get together.
Okay, so
So
did Molly and Lauren ever talk?
at the end,
Oh, okay.
because Molly was coming into the thing, she didn't know who he was talking to.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe he was talking to a girl named Sarah. And then once they ended, then she realized, oh, he's also talking to Lauren. And
Mm.
at that point, she'd already come in all excited, saying, because that was the other thing. I didn't go back and actually make sure his words were the exact thing, but I am pretty sure that he told Molly that she was his number one and that he was going to break up with Lauren. So Molly then goes to the girls' quarters and says he's breaking up with his number two today. Like he told me I'm number one. So like I'm going to wait for her to come back because she's going to be getting broken up with. And then when Lauren goes in and says this to him, he's like, well, I never told her she was my number one, and I never told her, but I'm pretty positive he did say those things. So then at that point is like he's playing with two girls' heads, right? And I
Yeah.
understand it could get so blurred in there that you don't even remember what you said, you
Well,
know?
sure. Yeah.
Like everything happens so fast and you're
Yeah.
like, especially in the first few days, like you're talking to lots of people.
Hmm.
Right? And so if you're not journaling everything, like if he didn't put, I told Molly that she's my number one, he could have easily forgot that he actually said that. Maybe he thought he said, you're high on my list for me, or,
Yeah.
and didn't realize he actually said, you're my number one. But Molly is so cute. And I was so sad for her because she really did want, to find someone. And she kind of put all her cards in his basket and was only really talking to him there at the end. So
Darn.
she was definitely very upset. And I will say this because we're going to come back to another couple, how their duo ended, but she took it very well. She was
Okay.
upset, but she went then and talked to Lauren and she was crying but she's like, I want him to be happy. And if that's with you, then that's okay with me. So very grown up.
Yeah,
Love how she
mature.
handled it. But
Mhm.
the last couples we will talk about,
Okay.
that's all I'll say till we get there. And then here's my other couple that I just need a little bit more. Devon and Virginia. I feel like we did see a lot of them, but not enough.
Okay.
Like I feel like I got a lot more out of the couples who don't end up getting engaged than I did from them.
Yeah.
So but I do think that again, a boring couple. They need these boring couples because they're usually the ones who make it to the altar. So it'll be interesting to see if they make it or not, and if there are any speed bumps in their on their road. But I will say one thing about him is he was dating another girl, and I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But
Brittany?
okay, yep, she told him that she had experimented and also liked women, and I think that's what turned him off.
Ah,
Because after that, he kind of turned off
okay.
and wasn't himself anymore. And then I believe it was the next date he told her that he was going to pursue Virginia. So
Okay. Well, hey, you like what you like.
exactly,
You
and
don't like. Yeah,
nothing is wrong with people who are bisexual and like both, but
absolutely
I
not.
think even for me, if I was dating somebody who liked both, I would constantly be in my head like, oh, what if he's going to leave me for a man? Like,
Right.
what if I'm not good enough? Like, what if I don't give him everything he needs? Like, that would be hard on a person to
Totally.
have to deal with, right? So, I understand that completely and how that could have swayed his decision. But yeah, another boring couple. Didn't really get too much out of them. But when they met, very sweet. I do really like her. So we'll see what happens, but not much to say about them.
Oh,
And then Daniel
okay.
and Taylor. Okay, I was in love with this couple from the beginning. Okay, I was like,
Daniel
they're
and
so
Taylor.
cute. And this is our short king, 5'8".
Oh, this is the 5'8" guy.
Yeah.
Hey, my husband's
Love,
only 5'10", so it's okay.
yeah. Loves Christmas. She
Oh,
loves
really?
Christmas. These are my people.
Are these the Hallmark couple? Is this the Hallmark couple?
So I thought, right? But
Oh,
so anyways, great conversation. They had like way too much in common. I think like her mom's middle name and his mom's middle name were the same. Their dad's names were the
my
same. They both
God.
had Christmas. There was like way too much that was the
Yeah,
same, that it almost was like too good to be true and a little too meant to be. But I liked Taylor right away. Even when I saw her picture, I feel like I know her.
right.
Like I've seen her before, or like she's like another character, or not character, but another person that was on the show before. I don't know. She's giving vibes of somebody that I've already watched. I don't think she was on another show, but I was drawn to her right away, and I was excited for her story. She is an RN, um, and so I was really hoping that something good was going to come out of it. And like I said, the conversations were great. I knew from the beginning these two were going to get engaged. They were just like, it was set up that way, you know?
Okay.
And so the bad thing is so they meet and I could see she's weird. And it's not because he's a short king. Like she was probably like the same height with her heels on.
Okay.
She was being weird. And I felt like she wasn't really being herself. And so I'm
Mm.
like, interesting. Like you were so like comfy in the pods, and you know he was easy for you to talk to, and now it just felt weird. And I can understand that, because how weird is it to talk to somebody for weeks or whatever it is, and then you don't know what they look like, and then you meet them? I'd be nervous, right? Like I'd be shaking, and like I probably would be a little bit more quiet, but she just felt off. Like she didn't feel like
Okay.
herself at all. And so right before like the last scene that we see, she's meeting up with him again.
Hmm.
She thinks that he knew her and what she looked like before he came onto the show. And he was
How?
kind of like looking for her while he was in the pods.
How?
So she says that she vividly remembers a man sending her an invite on, or a friend request on Instagram, because at the time she was private. She's not private now.
Okay.
And she says, and I remember because his profile picture was of him. And she says he was in front of a Christmas tree, but it is very easy to get that mixed up. She said his legs were crossed and he was holding a drink. And so I went back and I looked through Daniel's Instagram, and he does have a picture like that, but it's not a tree in the background, it's a fireplace.
She could have gotten it mixed up, right? Like you're not going to remember every detail perfectly,
Right.
right?
And she's like, I just remember that I didn't know who he was, so I didn't accept his request, or she accepted him to follow, but she didn't follow him back.
Got it.
And but then I don't know if they gave her her phone, because I don't think they're allowed phones,
No, probably not.
because she said that she went back and looked and that he had unfollowed her.
Hmm.
And so I don't know if she had told production they gave her one of their phones so that she could check.
Probably.
And yeah, but she's like adamant that he knew her. And she's like, all of my info is on there. I'm an RN. I
Uh,
love Taco Bell. Christmas is my favorite holiday. You know, so she's like, did he just say all these things because he knew
yeah.
those were the things that, you know, because she was already feeling like it was too good to be true. Like how are they having all this stuff in common so
So
quickly,
quickly.
and vibing so well,
Yeah.
but he didn't know her. And so yeah, I'm
My
nervous.
my only question is like, did she announce she was going to be on the show? Like, how would he know that she was going to be on
But
the show?
yeah, because I don't think she has a ton of, like, now she has 10K,
Well, of course.
but I don't know that she had a ton of
Mhm.
followers before. So I don't
Weird.
know.
Yeah. Very,
Unless
but
she
hey,
she also said they had mutual friends. So maybe one of their
ah,
mutuals had said, "Oh,
that term
you know," and it just
going
got
to be on
around.
his
I
mind.
honestly don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she said it was shortly before they were leaving for the season.
Wow.
So it just seems a little weird to me. I mean, and he's not denying it. He's just saying, well, why would I follow and then unfollow you? And oh, I don't have a picture with a Christmas tree in the background. None of my Christmas card photos are with a Christmas tree in the background. But he's not, that wasn't me.
Why isn't he exactly?
You know,
Exactly. Say
he's
the
not
words, buddy.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm a little bit nervous about. So I'm worried about these two, because in the pods I loved them so much. And then when they met, I was a little, like I said, hesitant because it was just weird. He was giving it all and she was just kind of like holding back. And so it was weird vibes. And then this happens. So I'm a little bit nervous about these two. I hope that
But she
we,
accepted his proposal?
yeah, this was before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She said that because she said when she was when she was meeting him for the first time, it was like weird to her because she's like, do I recognize him because I've heard his voice so much and that's kind of like the kind of face I was putting, or do I
I
recognize
that.
him because like I feel like I know him because I've talked to him for so long. Like she was having a hard time trying to figure it out. And so I guess she went back to her hotel room after because I think they do 2 days before they head to Mexico where they're
Okay.
in a hotel. And she said she went back to her hotel room after and was just feeling like off, like something was wrong. And then she was like, I think this was it.
Ugh.
And so yeah, I don't know what will happen. I'm sure we'll get some more details about this Instagram gate. Um, but yeah, sad because I did think that maybe this would be a couple that made it to the altar, but now I don't think so.
Well, hopefully maybe she's just an overthinker,
Yeah,
right? Like,
could be.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
but it's a little weird.
It's
It's a
very
little
weird.
weird,
Yeah.
as like a, you want me to find something out for you, I can find something out for you, and most girls are like that. We can dig to find the info
Oh,
we need. So the fact that
absolutely.
she is saying that, I feel like she knows that it was him.
Yeah.
And maybe they could have got past it if he would just say, "Oh, that was me. I realized you were going to be on the show, so I unfollowed you because I didn't want that to be a thing." Like I don't know, maybe that could have made it work more. I
Yeah.
don't. But sad. And then we have Mason and Meg, but Mason was also talking to Madison. So
Okay.
these next few couples, they don't get engaged. So those
Okay.
were our
Those
five engagements
five
heading
and
to
six. Okay.
Mexico. So we have Mason and Meg, and then we have Mason and Madison.
Okay.
So Mason and Meg, I didn't think they were going to get engaged, even from the beginning. Uh, they were very similar, but I feel like, I mean, in the first episode, she's coming out like, I believe in aliens, I believe in this stuff and this stuff, and he's like, oh, okay, and he says like he likes that kind of stuff, but might have been too much for a
My
man,
gosh, yeah.
yeah. But she was so sweet. She, again, another girl who was just there. She was herself. Like she didn't come on being someone she wasn't. Like she was fully herself. Um, but yeah, so she really liked him. He was her number one from the beginning. And, you know, I don't know how long, because that's what I mean. We don't know how many people they're all talking to, but from the sounds of it, she she pretty much ended it with everybody except for
Okay.
him. He was her person. Like she really liked him, and he was so sweet. Like he is such a good guy, and the way that everything ended with this love triangle actually makes me very sad. But so she kind of was feeling like she was number two to him,
That sucks.
with Madison.
Yeah.
And Madison was also dating an Alex, but Madison was kind of trying to get more from Mason. I did see a couple TikToks on the whole Madison thing. So she's lost a lot of people in her life, um, and has been through some really, really tough things. And I feel so bad for her. I was also drawn to Madison this season, from her picture right away. I was like, I like her. I feel like I'm going to vibe with her and her story. And I do really like her and I feel bad for her. But I feel like a lot of the ways that she was towards the men were coming out from her past traumas.
Ah,
Um, and it was like, uh, she's like avoidant, right?
got
So
it.
she was trying to get all this stuff out of these men, but she wasn't giving back. Do you
Got
know what
it.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
she was telling Mason that she needed more from him, like more affirmations to know that he wanted her, And then when he gave it to her, she she never reciprocated, and then also was like kind of held it against him in the end.
Oh,
I mentioned before we were going to come back to this because the other couple ended so amicably and
right.
she was so nice. I feel like Madison was trying to destroy Mason and Meg and didn't want them to get engaged.
Ooh,
So
that's
she,
petty.
she right away went into him and because he said, I did tell you that, I was all in for you. I believe those are the words he used. He may have said something different, but something like that.
Right.
And but I didn't mean it, like, and she obviously took that personally, right?
Yeah, that's hard to hear.
He was kind of saying he felt like he had to say that in order to keep her.
Okay.
And so he's kind of trying to explain that to her, but she took it like, you can't take that back. You said it, you meant it,
Well,
you
and
know.
then when he said it, she must have felt amazing. And then now she's finding out, oh, I actually didn't mean it. Like that,
Yeah.
that's a
And
low
I don't know if
blow.
she felt amazing.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I feel like she just
No.
wanted both of them to
Ah,
want her as their number ones. So Mason and Mike.
right.
So I don't know. And yeah, like I mentioned on TikTok, a lot of the people were talking about her personality and what she was doing to these men. And um, I do kind of agree with them, but at the same time, I can't fault her. She's trying to protect herself. But yeah, so then she ends up going and telling Meg everything that's happening and kind of telling Meg that she shouldn't be with him and she should leave him and that
Ooh,
he's not a good person. He's a clown. And I'm like, okay, like, let's just move on. He didn't
that's
want
petty.
you. You
Yeah.
broke up with him. You didn't want him. So
Yeah.
just move on.
That's
Like, we don't need to be evil and, end something that could have possibly been good between Mason and Meg, right? But Meg ends up going in there and saying that she'll always think she's number two. And so she won't be able to ever get over that.
oh,
And so Mason does not get engaged.
that's pretty terrible,
Yeah, it was
actually.
actually kind of sad because,
Yeah.
they did vibe really well and they could have been really fun to watch, but we're not going to watch them. Although I'm sure we'll see them meet in person
Right.
because they always do those reunion episodes where everybody comes back and they go out to a little party thing. But yeah, a little bummed.
Yeah.
Um, and then Madison, her number one that she kept saying was her number one the whole time, but she was playing, in
Both.
my opinion, both of them. So Alex, I was also drawn to, and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, I know him. I know him. Like, I've watched him before. He is the nerdier version of Harry Jowsey, who is from Too Hot to Handle. But he's not the version because Harry's trouble.
Okay.
Like, I love Harry to death, but he's trouble. Alex is a very good boy, I think. I don't think he's trouble. But so his voice, the way he looked, it was like I was watching Harry just in a different body, like a
Yeah.
different personality. Um, so Alex was so sweet to Madison the whole time. And they really got into deep conversations. Whereas I feel like Madison and Mason didn't really.
Okay.
Like, I feel like theirs was more surface level, whereas like Alex was really trying to find his wife. Like, he was being serious, like, and he was really thinking what this stuff could look like in the outside world. And that is one thing I did like about him. He was probably my favorite, so I am sad that he also didn't get engaged, but he was probably my favorite male on the show. And yeah, I just felt like he really was trying to find the perfect person for him. And he was really thinking, like, blah, 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 blah doesn't work out, what's going to happen on the outside world? Or, because she was constantly just like, when they would get into like kind of like a little fights, I wouldn't really call them fights or
Yeah.
disagreement, she would just like shut down. And he's like, I don't even know what to do for you. Like, how in these situations do you want me to help you? And she kind of wouldn't really give anything to him. She would just completely shut down. And then with all her traumas and stuff, he was really trying to figure out how he would be able to help her move
Well,
past them. And he even said, like, I have traumas and I have difficulties and things that you're going to have to help me out with. And and so I'm happy to help you out with them, but if you're not going to let me, then this might not work.
yeah, and
Like,
that's valid. That's totally valid.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it can be very difficult in the outside world, like in the real world,
The real
to
world, yeah.
actually have these issues that you never really sought help for. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if she ever went to therapy. It doesn't really say that here, but
But that's a
that
lot
end up
for
coming
some.
into your real life and your marriage, that could really mess things up, if especially if you're not willing to discuss it and try to move past it, and so I do think he was valid in his reasoning. He just said he didn't feel like they were there, and that if he did propose to her, it would be him jumping and not knowing kind of where he's going to fall because he doesn't know what it's going to be like, and she wasn't giving him enough to get him to the step that he needed. um so that was very sad because I liked him, and like I said, I really did like her. She drew me in right away just from her photo. um but we do see that she comes back at the little reunion party and she has hot pink hair, and
Oh,
it looks like she's ready to start some drama. So it'll
boy.
be interesting to see what she does. I'm sure the drama is not about Alex, but maybe it is. But it'll be interesting to see. That's one of my favorite episodes is when they all reunite and actually get to see what like each other looks like, and talk to the people that were their number twos or whatever. And maybe some of them should have stayed together.
Yeah,
Like maybe you should have been with your number two. And I feel like a lot of them do think that way once they meet in person.
I could see that.
After being with your couple for a little bit and seeing like, oh, maybe it's not what I thought, then you see this other person in real life and you're like, oh wow, like because then the attraction comes into play,
Well,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And
Oh my
so
God.
you're like, things could have been different if I had picked.
Oh,
So it'll be interesting to see. And the other thing I'm interested to see is because a few of these people didn't get engaged. So I am interested to see if they just date.
which
You
could
know,
happen.
like yeah, they're not on the show, but like let's say Alex and Madison meet in person and they're like, oh wow, let's maybe try this in the outside world and not on the TV. Like I'm interested to see if anybody is like that. I don't
Has that
think so.
ever happened in the Love is Blind 7 seasons that have
The
come?
only I don't know. The only one that I know for sure. No. No, it was number twos. They end up leaving their number one that they get engaged to
Ah, to
with their
go with
number
the number
two.
two. I could
Yeah.
see that.
We had that a couple times. We had Bliss. I'm terrible with names,
No,
guys.
it's all good. It's all
They're
good.
married now and have a child. Galileo, I believe, is her
There
name.
you go. Yeah.
But same thing there. He picked somebody who kind of told him like was not good for him. I was shocked he picked her, and she was very mean to him. And once they got to Mexico, he realized how mean she was to him, and like she was definitely not into him at all. I don't think she was what he expected, and vice versa. And so he ends up going back to Bliss, and they do proceed on the show and have a whole relationship. And then, yeah, they
Oh,
do get married on the
good.
show. And that was after they met in person and saw each other. But they should have got engaged
Before anyway.
on the show. Yeah, he shouldn't have picked her, the other girl. And then it did happen one more time where he picks the second. I can't remember their names either, but this was just from like not last season, the season before, I believe. And they're messy, but they're not together anymore. But everybody was watching this all unfold because he picked somebody and then they end up breaking it off on the show. Kind of, I think it was shortly after they met at the reunion thing, like where he met up with his number two. And it comes out on the show that he ended up meeting up with his number two, like secretly behind the girl's back he was engaged to.
Ooh,
Then whatever on TikTok, people were seeing she was posting TikToks because we have to remember this was filmed a year prior. So
right.
she was posting TikToks in his house. So
Oh,
people were like, well, now we know you two are
yeah.
together.
Yeah.
They got eaten alive at the reunion.
I
And,
bet.
they're not together anymore, though.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. But those are the only two. And I don't know but maybe it's just never been talked about. Like maybe people have gone on a few dates and
I
it
could see
just
that.
doesn't get talked about. I'm not sure, but it'd be interesting to know.
But I feel like that would be common, right? Because you're making a decision based on what you hope is your gut feeling,
Right.
right? But it's so quick that you don't necessarily know it's the 100% right decision. So I could see people saying, "Hey, I made a mistake." The other
For
girl
sure. For
or
sure.
other guy was
And
definitely
especially when you
more,
have like a number one or number two or one that you're kind of like struggling between,
yes,
and it's just personality, right? And you only have so much time to talk about certain things that once you get into the real world and you do talk about a lot more, you may realize we do not vibe, or like,
right.
yeah, we had this and this in common, but we don't have this and this in common. And that's important to me. And so it would be hard to then, meet everybody and see your number two or the person you were struggling between. And oh, wait, I have this, and this in common,
Yeah.
and because it isn't always about looks. And I know for some people that is a huge thing, but it also is about how you get along with that person, you know, and I feel like in the real world you end up fighting a little bit more, and it's like, okay, well, can I handle the fights with this person constantly? You know, like I remember last season, so many of them, once they got into the real world, it was just like mean vibes and just fighting and just not good. And you don't want to marry that. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't
Not at
want
all.
that to be the how your marriage starts. And I
Yeah.
get it, you're going to disagree about some things, but I always say this to my husband, we fight so differently. You know, like some people will fight and then they like, you know, have to go into a room and just like calm themselves down, and then maybe they don't want to discuss it again, whereas other people, they need to fight and get that argument over with so they can move on.
On.
And
Yep.
for some people, when you have such different fighting or bickering techniques, I don't even know what to call them, you know, the person who, like, let's say likes to have his space after might not be able to handle the other person in a marriage, right? Because that might be too much for them, might give them anxiety, like, you know. So fighting in the real life, it's kind of like a good tell to see how you're going to be in a marriage. um
Absolutely.
so, you know, things like that. And I also think it'll be interesting to see for some of these, especially women, because I feel like women are more jealous, like if they go and talk to their number two at this reunion thing, how are they going to react? And that could be another thing that holds somebody back from wanting marriage, because it's like,
Totally.
okay, well, I clearly proposed to you. I want to be with you. I'm just talking to this person because we didn't really get closure. And now I'm finally meeting them for the first time. And so, yeah, we're going to have a conversation. But if you can't handle that, like, how are you going to handle that in the real world when other women come to talk to me? You
Yep.
know, like, so it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, and how the women react, how the men react. Maybe there's going to be some jealous men. I don't know. Um, but it'll just be interesting to see how it all plays out. And it looks like a little bit of drama. Maybe not my favorite season so far, but it's so hard for me because there will never be a season like season number one. Like I said before,
You're right.
it is
Because
the
it loses
cream
its,
of the
yeah,
crop. Like it was
yeah.
the first time it was real. It has the most successful couples. Like, you know, everybody felt like they were a little bit older and like really looking for marriage. I don't know. I just feel like, you know, now you're getting into the younger people coming in and maybe not really ready for marriage. Like Molly, for example, and I believe Daniel. There was two people who hadn't even been in serious relationships,
Ooh.
but you're coming on here to get engaged. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. You're missing a step, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and so
Yeah. But
I'm
again,
excited
are they
to see
doing
how
it
it
because
plays.
they want to do it now, or are they doing it because this is fun? I can get famous. I can go to Mexico. I can do this, right? Like,
Right. And like, I mean, who doesn't want to be an Instagram influencer and
well,
not
yeah,
have
of
to work?
course. Of course.
I mean, I know they work. I know they put in work. Like an
No, I know.
influencer isn't
But,
no work, but you know what I mean? Like I want people to send me free PR, and I
well,
want
yeah,
I want
and
to
I
get paid to stay at home with my children. Like
think
I
everybody feels
understand.
that
I
way.
do. And like that's the sad part now with reality TV is we're getting, maybe it's not as serious and people are there for the wrong reasons. Whereas like in the beginning, especially with shows like The Bachelor and Bachelorette, like I feel like even their ratings have gone down. I don't we don't really talk about that show on here, but
It's not very popular.
well,
Honestly,
The
it's not.
Bachelorette got canceled. They're
That's it.
skipping.
We're skipping a year because it's not getting good ratings. It's just not.
No.
Yeah.
And that is because they're picking young women.
Yeah.
Like it's gotten younger. Do you know what I mean? Like whereas before it was people who were ready to get married, ready to have families. They weren't there for the Instagram influencer job, you know, but now that comes with it, unfortunately. And so a lot of the reasons why that is why the show is the way it is because you're having people there for the wrong reasons. And also people are vetting the show, whoever's casting, you're
It's
casting for
looking for a
ratings.
type.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
know, and unfortunately, people are sick of it. You know, we didn't get Bachelor in Paradise last season or last summer. And so people were pissed about that. Are we going to get it this year now that they've skipped The Bachelorette? Who knows? But that is their show that everybody loves. Everybody
Right.
loves Bachelor in Paradise, right? Because it's not just one guy with 25 women, it's like 10 women, 10 men, and multiple people keep coming in. You know, they've got to figure it out, but it is not it. And even like I haven't watched for a few seasons. The last season I watched was oh my gosh, he was my favorite, and I'm terrible with names. Can you tell? Oh, he was on Dancing with the Stars this last season. He won. so good. Loved him. That was the last season I watched. And he's still with his girl that he
Wow.
proposed to on the show. And oh, they're just so cute together. And he made the most beautiful Valentine's post for her. And then this guy that they have now, I just keep seeing TikToks and I'm like, he's giving me the ick. He is not a good bachelor. Like, it's just weird, and
Yeah.
so they've got to figure something out there or just give it up completely. Maybe it's
Maybe
done.
it's run its course.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it's ran its course. It's been how many seasons. But they're gonna need to
Bachelor is
figure
like
something
it's
out.
season 27, I think.
Well, and I heard through the Bachelor grapevine, um, a couple of the girls were talking on a podcast and said that they think what is happening is because the ratings have sucked so bad that Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 2 is replacing the Bachelorette in that slot.
I can see it because it's now ABC is broadcasting it now after
Season
the
one,
Bachelor.
right? Yeah, and season 2 is coming out. I don't know if we got a date.
No, I don't think it's out. I don't think there's a date yet.
I don't think we got a date, but it's been filming
Hmm.
and people love that show. And I think it was a Hulu show,
Yeah, it was Hulu, but
right?
ABC and Hulu are the same brand.
Okay.
ABC is now putting it on prime time, so it's like that's a big hint, right?
Yes. And so that's what they're saying is that's what's going to go in that slot
Right.
instead.
I could see it. I could
And,
see it.
and I love that show. Trapping, so good. I love it. So I'm not upset about it, because I mean I think we watch it here in Canada and Disney Plus. I think that's where I
Yeah.
watched it.
Yeah, because Disney
But to be
Plus.
able to watch it on TV, even better, you don't need a streaming service for it. So I could see, and they'll probably get more viewers, right? That
Oh,
way.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, again, same kind of thing here. I think a lot of people are just coming on for the wrong reasons, and you're slowly going to start seeing even shows like Love Is Blind. Like I'm really interested to see how the ratings are this season versus what they were for the first few seasons,
Yeah.
because yeah, I have a feeling that they're not as high as they used to be.
So what are the next two episodes drop next week?
Three, yep,
Three,
on the
sorry.
21st, I believe. And
And
so
are
those
they
will be
yeah,
Mexico
right.
or wherever they go.
Okay.
And then I believe 2 episodes of them living in the real world. And one of them should be a reunion, but maybe not. How many
I think they
on Netflix? It'll show
drop.
you all the episodes. So let's see if I could see all the episodes here. Season 8. Okay, so we have 13 episodes in total, and we've seen 6. So we
Okay.
get 3 next week, and then 3 the week after, and March 7th is the finale. So maybe we won't have the reunion in the next 3 episodes, or maybe it'll start at the reunion, kind of finish
Carry
the, you know what I
over.
mean, to lead into the next episodes. But yeah. And then yeah, you know what I think so because then the next 3 are usually again them living in the real world, trying on dresses, trying on suits, that kind of stuff. So going on bachelor parties. So that's usually what those 3 are before the wedding one. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Um, we'll discuss more once we
We
watch a little bit of
will.
the
Yes.
episode.
So
But
we will absolutely talk next week more about those episodes that are coming up and see where these couples are at.
are you excited for anything else in TV? I didn't get a chance to watch Sweet Magnolias yet.
I have not watched season 4 yet myself. I'm told it's really good. It ends on a
Okay.
pretty big cliffhanger because
Okay.
people were worried that they were marketing it like it was the last season.
Oh.
And I didn't take it that way, but other people did. And so I don't think that's the case when you end off on a cliffhanger. So,
Mhm.
and it's number one in streaming. So I'm sure it'll get picked up for season 5. Like, I don't think people need to worry about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's something I will tune into for sure. But still, Rookie had a really good episode last week, got people going crazy a little bit. See what happens this week, to see if people are still excited or disappointed. I have a feeling they're going to be disappointed.
And if you're still here and you watch other shows or don't watch Love is Blind, but you're sticking till the end, um, are you guys bored of NCIS Origins, or is it just me?
Oh, good.
I need something more. I feel like I'm not getting what I was getting in the first few episodes, and I'm losing my steam. It's hard for me to get through the episodes. I have not watched this last week, so I don't know if it was better, but the last two episodes were just like not for me. I just found them really boring. It was
I
hard to
think
get
we're
into.
gonna put a poll. We're gonna put a poll and we're gonna ask
Yeah,
people.
let's
Yeah.
do that because I've seen articles of people saying it's getting boring, and I've seen articles people saying it's so good. So tell me what you think. Like, are you like
We
me?
need
Are
to
you
ask the
getting
people.
bored?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be interesting to see. And then I have not watched Fire Country from Friday, but I'm excited to see that.
I people are up in arms about the
Oh,
stuff.
I need
So
to watch that.
gotta watch it. I'm not
Yeah,
saying a word. We can dish
thank
next
you.
week.
We'll have to discuss next week after I watch this one and the one
Yeah.
after and talk about
Sounds
it. Yeah,
good.
that'll probably be what I do this week is Sweet Magnolias, catch up on the new Love is Blind ones that end up coming out, and then catch up on NCIS, FBI International. I missed that this week too,
Yeah,
and
that's
Fire Country, but I'm always the most excited for Fire Country.
yeah. A new 90 Day Fiance, the OG 90 Day Fiance drops today. Um,
Oh,
for first
does it
episode,
look good?
season 11. I don't know.
I know I've kind of fallen off that bandwagon. I'm
Yeah.
watching The Last Resort, but I've been another show that I'm like, okay, now this is starting to get not real, you
One
know.
show I will plug that airs next on Sunday, the 23rd, is Grosse Pointe Garden Society on NBC.
Hmm.
It's kind of like a Desperate Housewives meets Big Little Lies, but more not as intense, but it's actually really good. I've seen the first couple episodes and I'm hooked. So
Wow. And sorry, what day is that on?
February 23rd on NBC. So not this Sunday, next
Oh,
Sunday.
okay.
Tracker is also back tonight.
Oh, your favorite.
I know. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, lots of good stuff happening on the TV, and we'll be back next week to dish on it all.
Don't forget to follow us on
Yes.
Instagram.
Comment, tell us what you think. Do you
Yeah. And
agree?
X too. What are we on X? Spoiler
X Spoiler TV Pod.
pod? Yeah.
Instagram at the Spoiler TV Podcast. And yes, Blue Sky as well. We are the Spoiler TV Pod, same as Twitter. So please follow, please comment, please tell us what you think. And we will see you next week.
Sounds good. See you then.
See you then.